So now we're going to shift into another area where strategy plays a huge role in decision making. Canada's two major genetic indexes, LPI and Pro Dollar, and how producers can use them to guide their breeding programs. For this segment, Paul will be joined by Erin Rey, and together they'll walk us through when and why to prioritize one index over the other, and how to align index selection with each herd's unique goals. So Paul, I'll let you take it from here.
No, this is a fun one too. And Erin, hoping you'll enjoy this discussion, because this actually came up from our August Proof Round Perspectives call, and I know that when we fielded the question from the caller, you actually answered that question. So I'm coming back to you because I'm sure you've had 4 months to think about it and got lots of more insight now. But anyway, this came up from the August Proof Round Perspectives podcast from a participant. Now we're giving it its own segment. So yes, two very different official indexes in Canada, LPI and Pro Dollar. On LPI, we know the precise weights for each sub-index, and we also know the weights on the individual traits within them. Whereas for Pro Dollar, a formula that uses actual production, health, survival data, as well as rearing and input costs to generate an expected lifetime profit calculation, we don't actually know the weights in that formula. So that makes it a bit harder to know how to work with it. But I'll ask you as a starting point, if you've got a personal preference for one versus the other. And why?
Good morning. In relation to the question, I really don't have a personal preference. It's the goal of the farmer that directs the road to be taken. So if I have a farm that wants to focus on production and filling the bulk tank, it is a Pro Dollar index herd. And if the farmer has concerns with type trait improvements and classification, that is an additional priority, then I will work with an LPI index. But if we can also use that index as a starting block for creating a customized index as well, I would say a majority of my clients are now sorting the cow herd and sire selections by a customized index. And I'd also say that 10% are basically reaching for an LPI, and 15% of my herds are more Pro Dollars. The rest would be a more tweaked or customized index. There's a good number of sires that are Pro Dollar rated today. Our number one bull is Progenesis Pattern. He's a proven bull with a 3211, which is a very high Pro Dollar index, and he's robot ready. Our genomic bull also is Attaway Beyond Faithful. He's a top sexed available Pro Dollar index at 3800 and robot ready.
Okay, well, there's an awful lot in that answer, so I think we're probably going to cover some of that ground again. But
definitely,
I'm thinking that it is too easy to just simply say type breeder should select from LPI, and because it's got greater focus on type traits within it, and since all producers have a profit motive, so I think all producers to some extent would be well advised to take a look at Pro Dollar in any case. But do you have, I guess the question is, do you have type oriented producers that still use Pro Dollar in their selection too? And in reverse, do you have some really commercially oriented producers that you think probably start with a Pro Dollar but actually use LPI as well?
Like I say, there are some LPI starting blocks that I use, and then using some more focus to put on milk and components to create a customized index. So a lot of them do start with LPI. It's more encompassing today too. There's that new milkability index that's included for a lot of farms as well. That's important for, it includes that mastitis control, robot ready features. The LPI farms will add some weighting also in threshold for some of the production factors. There's a lot more conversation in the past year for milk with confirmation as well. But the Pro Dollar index is more likely to say around 75% production and production factor focused. So you won't find a lot of confirmation bulls over 7 in that current offerings, but there's a lot that are robot ready.
And that's a good point. So you're adding to the pro dollar index with some of the sub designations that CMEX creates for them. And on that point, I think probably we're entering an era now, an era of the hybrid index. It's not pro dollar, it's not LPI, it's with their current weights as a starting point, but something tailored to suit individual producers' breeding goal, strategy, or maybe just to counter a specific herd weakness that they're trying to fix. And I guess at least I expect you've got some producers doing precisely that. And I guess then the question would be, if you do, how do you help producers with that, if that's where they want to go, if they want to tailor an index?
Yeah, that's exactly right. The majority are searching for a little bit more of a customized client index. And I use that ranking to help determine the most favorable heifers to breed sexed or utilize beef in the heifer program. It's not only the sire selection result that we need on farm. So most of the farms, conformation, feet and leg, mammary number will have additional weighting, and the milk weighting will be higher within the production section of that index. We may even put a threshold of over 600 kilo milk or over 7 for mammary to weed out the bulls we won't consider. It is all dependent on the farmer's comfort to not use a bull if they're outside the package. I do call it kind of the stretch and grow phase on this perspective. I think today there are a lot of genomic bulls that accomplish this as well, without sacrifice. To the point of the genomic bulls, this is where that genomic reaching and stretching needs to grow. And even I may need to have to put the bar up a little higher too. But we've got bulls like Ludwig, Coops, Kingcraft, Easy, and Auburn are top LPI bulls that meet those thresholds. They offer a wide array of pedigree differences we can utilize too.
Oh, that's a really good point too. Pedigree differences alongside the index. But I also like the point that you made referencing when you tailor an index, you're actually using that in your female selection as well. In terms of determining where to use the products, both sexed, beef, maybe some conventional too. So that was a point I hadn't even brought into this, but thank you for bringing that up. Do you start with either LPI or Pro Dollar to rank bulls or cows for herd's genetic strategy, and then add some thresholds? You were referring to that in a few cases where you do that. When you do that, do you typically start with LPI or do you start with Pro Dollar, or is it a little bit of both?
Yeah, so because there's the correlation of traits in both formulas, but the Pro Dollar formula is quite challenging. I think I like to consider it best scenario for the herds that are not concerned with reaching the very good 2-year-old goals. So that would be like the Pro Dollar herd. So they're, those are generally ones that are not classifying or not trying to get a very good 2-year-old. If you're a herd that is classifying, then I would definitely customize that LPI and consider that the bull or the heifer, for that matter, is telling you that there's a trend for that genetic profile. The trend is usually hitting the top priority or not at all. So you can expect a production pedigree and genetics to have a very good, you can't expect that production pedigree and genetics to have a very good 86.2-year-old a majority of the time, even though there's some outliers, and vice versa. So it's, again, listening to what we need our goals are, and then expanding on that so that we can stretch it into more balance related cofactors using the index. So Pro Dollars is related to that return on investment, using the sire, and tuning into the profit of the cow over 6 lactations. And we can't forget that.
Boy, thank you, Erin. There's a lot of meat there. Really good stuff. So thank you for contributing to our LPI Pro Dollar discussion.